Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Real Estate Matters. For over 11 years, the voice of real estate in Flagler County and Palm Coast. Welcome to the quiet side of Florida. I'm Toby Tobin. I'm the publisher of GoToby.com. I'm a contributor to the the Palm Coast Observer, and the Flagler licensed realtor with the Landmark Group at Compass. Host Annamaria Long just made it under the
radar. I'm sure I made it under someone's radar.
You were on I-4, so you were probably
I-4, 95, and then Belter.
She just got back from a conference, a home builders.
The Florida Home Builders Association Fall State Conference.
Good, thank you. And I had to be prepared to do this show alone up until a couple of hours ago when we realized she was going to make it back on time. We'll talk about what that meeting was all about. It's good information. First, I want to thank our sponsors, Veranda Bay, our primary sponsor. They're a private developing community of lots and luxury homes on the Intercoastal Waterway in Flagler Beach, featuring custom homes by Olson Homes, AR Homes by Arthur Ruttenberg, ICI Homes, and Hulbert Homes. And then newly building in the community, Toll Brothers and Dreamfinders. We're also sponsored by the Flagler County Home Builders Association, which is where Annamaria works. And shout out to Hammock Community Church, the little church in the Hammock on A1A, a mile and a half north of the toll bridge. That's where you find me every Sunday morning at the 11 o'clock service. But if you want to come and visit the church and you don't want to see me, come to the 9 o'clock service.
You know, speaking of the Hammock, I got to see Al Zakella this week, who built the condos down in the Hammock.
Wait, which ones?
The three tall buildings, and I'm so tired. The three tall buildings, and then the several townhomes.
Okay.
Help me out. They were built in the first ones that came into that
you
area.
You said in Hammock Beach?
Hammock.
Or in the Hammock?
Hammock Beach, so I guess it would be, Hammock Beach.
That would be probably down either the Aliki or way down at the south end. Those are the only tall condos.
It's three high-rises together.
And that would probably be down south end then.
Okay, yes. And so he and I got to talk about when the building department was just the one in Bunnell. He had some funnies.
You know, there's someday we're going to do a show or a series of shows on history. A lot of people don't realize that IT&T's project was way bigger than just the city of Palm Coast. The whole Hammock Community Development District, which is Hammock Beach and Hammock Dunes, Island Estates, Marina Village, that was all IT&T. So was Sea Colony. So was the Surf Club.
But we'll bring Al Zakella in for that show.
Pardon?
We'll bring Al Zakella in for that show. He can fill in some blanks that he actually put in.
Well, I find I have more blanks to fill in than I used to. So we're just kind of at the mid-month mark in October, so we'll just do a quick rundown. As of we're recording this on Friday, you're hearing it the next day, so we're a day late on these numbers for you all, but 113 single-family detached residential homes sold through the Flagler County MLS month to date, with a median price of $379,900, which is surprisingly high. Again, we're running at a rate higher than the same month a year ago, when the median price was $359,500. Days on market this year, 85. And as we always do, we look at the upper and lower end of the market, the 250,000 and below. So far this month, 6 have been sold. Surprisingly, only 1 was cash. And that's surprising because usually it's
the investors.
It would, if there were 6, it would be 4 or 5 would be cash.
Well, that means we probably have some people getting into their first home at a really good price, which is good news.
But remember I said the overall days on market 85 for those homes 250 and under, days on market of 46.
Getting
So
snatched up.
they're selling faster. Although we've had months when it's been down at 6 and 8 and 10
Yes.
days.
Well, that's when they're cash and they don't need to go through any extra process.
And then the excuse me, $1 million plus homes, 6 have sold, 2 of them for cash, and that's down from a cash standpoint too.
Mm-hmm.
Days on market 52, but the the point I want to bring out though is that days on market for both ends are below the overall days on market. So the market's healthier at the top and the bottom than it is in the middle. 1,289 homes listed, 311 are pending. The median price of the pending homes is $380,000, and that's surprisingly high as well. The index is 4.1. That's the ratio between listed and pending homes. The 30-year fixed mortgage rate's down this week. It's down to 6.27%. That's good news.
It is.
And most of the experts are predicting that it'll continue to go down slowly because the Fed is expected to lower their rates a couple more times this year. So trying to analyze all of that, while prices over the past 2 years have risen slightly in other markets, both across the state and across the country, the local market until recently has seen a decline in the number of sales while the prices have remained stable. The median sales price and the number of homes sold have risen in the most recent 3 months. Meanwhile, other Sunbelt markets have seen price decreases recently. So we're like a market within ourselves here where we sometimes follow the trends, but not always. Flagler home prices remain below the Florida median, which is about $388, and Florida's below the national median, which is roughly $435, $440. So we're still an inexpensive place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though we struggle with housing affordability.
Yes.
More because our wages are lower than because our houses are expensive.
And the opportunities for high earning are limited.
Okay, and as I mentioned, the percentage of cash sales at both the low and the high end has declined. At the low end, I think what that does is signals that there are fewer investment buyers at this time in the market, and that could be seasonal or not. Hard to know. At the high end, it likely means that buyers are less willing to trade their stock market equity and the liquidity that goes along with that for a less liquid real estate investment.
Yeah.
I think most people think the stock market's got room to go still.
I've heard that.
So local news before we get to your meeting highlights. Just go back to Marineland. We mentioned last week that the Dolphin Adventure at Marineland was subject to a bankruptcy auction, which occurred this last week. And there had been a stalking horse bid of roughly $3.5 million. Yes, it was $3.5 million. The ultimate winning bid came in at $7.1 million, so that's really double what the stalking horse bid was. And it's an unknown. Nobody can really find anything out about the company that's bid in this. The bankruptcy court will decide on October 27th whether to accept that bid, and it'll close at that price. But the name of this unknown buyer is Delightful Development LLC.
That sounds delightful.
And since it has the word development in it, it's unlikely that they'll continue a Dolphin Adventure attraction there.
Yeah.
There are just very few properties along the east coast of Florida, or for the west coast too, that are available for development. and
Right.
that's zoned for commercial. So they'll have to figure out what density would be allowed. And I don't
The
know.
land is just more
the land
valuable.
development, but it's really valuable. It's just like Veranda Bay.
Being the last large stretch.
1 full mile of intracoastal frontage, and there just weren't any miles left on the East Coast on the ICW.
And Marineland's going to fill that gap now.
So the current Mexican owned owner of the dolphin facility purchased the property from Georgia Aquarium in 2019 for $3,750,000. The property appraiser's website lists the true value at $4,376,000. That facility opened in 1938. It was the first of its type in the entire state of Florida.
And they filmed movies there, and it's great history.
And just the Marineland background, Marineland only has 3 basic properties, and it's barely got 3 citizens.
And 3 commissioners as well.
3, yeah. I think the current, last I heard, it's around 5 or 6.
Oh. So, yeah, you're right. They reseated the mayor.
The city commission represents a quorum of the residents, which is really funny. And I think there were 13 or 15 dolphin, but they don't vote. But interestingly, the University of Florida has their marine facility there, marine bioscience.
Yeah.
Whitney Labs, it's called.
Right.
And then we have this parcel we're talking about, the Dolphin Adventure parcel. And then there's, I think, roughly 35 acres that are still owned by Jim Jacoby, who's a quality developer out of Atlanta. And that pretty much is it. And, of course, the Whitney Labs is never going to be developed as a residential community in any way. That'll remain university owned, but the other 2 are obviously going to be developed eventually. And the problem, whether it's Jacoby's parcel or this parcel on the beach, the Dolphin Adventure parcel, there's a very primitive sewer capability up there now, and it barely can handle what they've got. And it has water from the city of Palm Coast, but not a big heavy-duty line. So they're going to have to run expanded water facilities.
Or create their own. Seven Seas Water Group is a is a water company that will create their own water system.
Right.
And they'll do it quickly.
And they have pocket plants, I guess, sewage plants that can do the same. Anyway, we'll get to your meeting as soon as we get back from this break. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome back to the second half of Real Estate Matters. Thanks for staying with us. In the first half, we're update on the Marineland bankruptcy auction and local stats. And the second half here, I guess the B block, as they say on Fox News. We're going to talk about where you've been for the last couple of days.
Yeah. So I have been in Orlando at the Florida Home Builders Association Fall Conference. And the conference is made up of several points of business, several of them being committee meetings like the Executive Officers Council meeting, local presidents, membership, and probably one of the more important ones would be the Governmental Affairs meeting. And at that meeting, the membership voted to ratify our legislative priorities for the 2026 fall session.
And this is the legislative priorities at the state level?
State level.
Okay.
Yes. So when our locals, including our local in Flagler, when we travel to Tallahassee in early February, we will be talking on these points to our legislators. Now, there's several points here, and these are kind of determined based on what lawmakers are willing to work on bills for or are already working on bills for. And as we get through to early February, we'll see where those are at, and that kind of determines what we're talking about.
Okay.
So I can run through tier 1 pretty quickly, like the top
Okay.
priority ones.
Why don't you do that? Just give us a
So
quick overview.
yeah, it's the standardized building department forms and allowable permit categories to basically create some fluency between the different municipalities. Anyone who is a tradesperson or a builder that needs to pull permits knows that things vary significantly from one municipality to the next. So ensuring that there's a standard set of permit application forms and checklists that all local building departments must use for common project types would make obviously the permit pulling easier, but it would also ensure that the building departments are doing their jobs correctly. Permit timeline solutions. While we are very lucky and we thank our local building departments here in our municipalities in Flagler, across the state, there are municipalities that take way too long to turn a permit around. So permit timeline solutions remains a top priority for us. Private providers, allowing private providers more access and flexibility in the inspection process. And that refers to the option that exists per the Florida Building Code for inspections to occur from a private provider instead of the building department. And that can be an option for ease of scheduling. So oftentimes, that's usually the biggest reason.
Well, government tends to staff at a certain level and stay at that level.
Yeah, though they have to meet the budget.
Because they work on an annual budget.
Yeah.
But actually, construction can vary a lot through the seasonality of
right.
Of
and when weather is unfortunate, and private providers will tend to be more flexible with their schedules and come out before it rains, for example.
Yeah, it also opens up the possibility, the ease of getting permits after a bad storm, for instance, because the municipalities with their fixed size staff can't handle the sudden surge.
The permitting still has to get done through the municipality, but all the inspections can be done by a private provider. No permitting for flood panels. This would be a permit exemption to eliminate unnecessary red tape for minor non-structural mitigation measures. So this has to do with WOTUS and how essentially all waters are considered waters of the United States. And so when you have currently you have to have a permit for literally everything that flows through water. But there would be an exemption under this. There would be an exemption that eliminates the red tape for things that are not going to affect the water flow. Obviously, there's many layers to that. This is the very 30,000 foot overview. No permit for licensed state contractors on state emergency repairs and rebuilds, and that is reducing the wait for post-disaster permitting for smaller projects while still maintaining safety standards. So that's not to do a new home build or a roof or a rebuild. That's for the minor things that do require permits currently, and it would only be in a post-storm recovery.
Like I need to have a couple shingles replaced.
Or a tree removed. Yeah. So if you're a state licensed contractor, that would be eliminated.
That makes sense.
And again, these would all have so many additional layers to them. Building permits no longer contingent on septic permit issuance. It basically allow you to start building before you get your septic permit issuance. We do have some areas on septic here in Flagler. Other areas of the state that are more rural are almost completely on septic. And they have found huge delays just in getting the septic permit. They're obviously going to get it because everyone over there is on septic, but the wait for it is forever. Stormwater credits. So allowing developers to earn and trade compliance credits to reduce the financial burdens of new DEP standards. Very similar to the mitigation banking credits. Practicing construction fraudulently without a license. We're always on this one. So standardized disciplinary forms and further penalties for bad actors practicing construction fraudulently. We also heard from Melanie Griffin from the DBPR. That was yesterday morning. And she came in and was talking about some of the further actions the DBPR has been taking and some
That's
really,
the business.
yes,
the
Department of Business and Professional
regulation,
Regulations.
right.
Yeah. Which you can go to myfloridalicense.com to look up a contractor at any time. Make sure they are in fact state licensed. And I was talking about some wins there. So we're always looking to see how we can better support them and ensure that they're able to stop those bad actors from hurting anyone. Florida Water Star regulations, providing language that local government who implement water conservation programs must use Water Star. So that's just to create some continuity. Live Local 4.0, basically to add on to Live Local, include military housing and the affordable housing percentage requirement. Sadowski funding, also always on our agenda. And then we've got tier 2 and tier 3. Those are other things that are less likely to come up into bills this session, but they're on our radar.
Yeah.
So we won't get into those really.
Well, one of the reasons that a state organization like this is important and work like what you're just talking about is important is that Florida has a single uniform building code.
The best in the country.
And the strictest in the country, with the exception of Southeast Florida, which has an even stricter code. But beyond, so you'd think that everything would be standardized. Everybody's building under the same building code. But in fact, there's so many things that are
they fluctuate.
Not just regional, but down
municipal.
At the municipal level, the land development code for the city of Palm Coast is not the same as the land development code for the unincorporated Flagler County or Flagler Beach or Beverly Beach or the town of Marineland with all the Dolphin Adventure stuff up there. And there are things that people don't realize are as important as they are. For instance, City of Palm Coast has a regulation that you have to have an extended roof over the front entrance.
Yes.
And that you have to have a pitched roof. Flat roofs are not allowed. And think about the consequences of that. That's really a
it's architectural.
unique form but it's a discrimination because if you can't drive a trailer with a dwelling on the back of it under a bridge on the interstate if it has a front porch sticking out or a roof sticking up. So
therefore you cannot have a manufactured home.
So you cannot, you can't have a manufactured home or
2 ways to skin a cat.
Good. So it's on the one hand you say we want local options. We don't want to give up our local uniqueness.
Yeah. We want our freedom, our rights.
Imagine being a contractor in Flagler County, much less Volusia and St. John's, because they're all the same.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, they're all not the same.
Right. They have the same problems we do by being
they do it. And,
immensely unique.
You could...
as Taylor Swift said, they have terminal uniqueness.
Yes. Well, like Grand Haven off Colbert is in the city of Palm Coast. Of course, it's got its own covenants and restrictions too, but you can build, or there are things that you can't build in Grand Haven that you can just next door in Palm Coast Plantation, which is not within the city of Palm Coast. And
my favorite is Halifax Plantation because within Halifax Plantation, you could be in Flagler County or Volusia County, depending on which street you're on.
And same with Plantation Bay.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, we're run out of time. Next week, maybe we'll get to all this other stuff I had on my notes to have ready in case you didn't make it back from me.
I'm here.
Good. Well, thanks, everybody. You want to wrap it up?
I would love to. You can listen. I don't even have my notes open. You can listen to Real Estate Matters at gotoby.com. Go to the top and click on podcasts. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts and on WNZF flaglerradio.com. If you have a question or a suggestion for Real Estate Matters or gotoby.com,
call me 386-931-7124 or email me at toby@gotoby.com. I'm Toby Tobin, and I approve this show. Bye now. See you next week.